साला ये दुख का खत्म नहीं होता बे।
तो रुको जरा, सबर करो।
Happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
Wait a minute.
Up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
पैसा ही पैसा होगा।
The Union Budget is one of the most eagerly awaited events in any country. And when it comes to India, the budget carries immense significance. This annual event is more than just a routine announcement of financial allocations. It serves as a critical barometer of the country's economic health, providing a snapshot of the government's priorities, policy shifts, and future economic direction. Presented every year by the finance minister, the Union Budget is much more than just a financial document. It is an extensive roadmap that sets the tone for the country's growth, development, and welfare policies. In this video, we'll explore the 2025 Union Budget in depth, focusing on its significance, the recent tax reforms, especially the new 12 lakh rupee income tax exemption, and whether these changes are truly necessary. To begin with, let's take a moment to understand what a budget truly represents. A budget is essentially a detailed financial plan that the government uses to manage its resources, decide how much money will be raised through taxes, and how those funds will be spent. The budget is critical because it defines the priorities of the government and impacts everything from the prices of goods to the accessibility of healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The Union Budget serves as the backbone of the country's fiscal policy and plays a fundamental role in shaping the economic trajectory. The announcement of the Union Budget is important because it impacts every individual, business, and sector within the country. A well-designed budget can encourage investment, increase job opportunities, improve infrastructure, and most importantly, impact the daily lives of the citizens. As citizens, we often look to the budget to understand how government policies will affect the economy, businesses, and our personal finances. The Union Budget is not just a financial document. It is a comprehensive policy statement. It outlines the government's approach to managing the country's finances. Through the budget, we see which sectors are getting funding, whether it's infrastructure, defense, healthcare, or education. It also sets the tone for social welfare programs aimed at uplifting marginalized sections of society, ensuring that the benefits of economic growth reach everyone. This year's Union Budget, presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, comes at a critical juncture in India's economic journey. For several years, India's economy has been experiencing both internal and external challenges. From global inflationary pressures, disruptions in supply chains, to the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, the economy has had to navigate numerous hurdles. This backdrop makes this year's budget particularly interesting as it seeks to address both immediate challenges and lay the foundation for long-term sustainable growth. A primary focus of the 2025 budget is economic growth, employment generation, and the enhancement of income levels. And that's where the decision to raise the income tax exemption limit to 12 lakh rupees becomes so crucial. The new tax proposals outlined in the budget are designed to benefit millions of Indian taxpayers, especially the middle class. For the first time, the government has decided that individuals earning up to 12 lakh rupees per year will no longer be required to pay any income tax. This is a groundbreaking move, as it brings immediate financial relief to a large section of the population, encouraging more spending and hopefully economic stimulation. But how important is this decision? To understand its full impact, we need to step back and think about the state of India's economy and the tax system. Let's first dive into the specifics of this move, and then assess whether it was truly needed. The decision to exempt income up to 12 lakh rupees from tax is monumental in its implications. It directly affects millions of salaried workers, small business owners, and self-employed professionals. Before this reform, income above 5 lakh rupees per year was subject to taxes, with increasing tax slabs as income rose. The new tax-free threshold of 12 lakh rupees, however, means that those earning in this bracket will no longer have to worry about deductions and can instead focus on investing or spending their income without worrying about high tax cuts. The government's move is aimed at easing the tax burden on the middle class, which has often felt under pressure due to rising living costs and inflation. For the salaried individuals, professionals, and small entrepreneurs who fall under this category, this exemption is expected to provide much-needed relief. This extra disposable income is expected to circulate back into the economy, resulting in increased consumer spending. Since consumption drives a significant part of India's GDP growth, this could help stimulate demand for goods and services across various sectors. At a time when consumer confidence is shaken, providing this relief can play a crucial role in reviving demand. The immediate question that arises with this new move is, was it really needed? To answer this, we must examine the state of the Indian economy. While India's economy is growing, it is also facing a range of challenges. Unemployment remains high, and inflationary pressures are affecting the purchasing power of middle and lower income groups. The past few years, marked by the pandemic, have left many families struggling to make ends meet. In such a scenario, the government's decision to provide immediate tax relief through the 12 lakh rupee exemption becomes an important step to bring some financial relief. The middle class, which is often the backbone of any economy, has been carrying a substantial tax burden for years, despite contributing heavily to the country's growth. They contribute to national consumption, drive demand for housing, automobiles, technology, and services, and provide much-needed tax revenue. However, they are often caught in the middle, where their incomes are too high for certain subsidies, but too low to get meaningful tax relief. This new measure seeks to correct that imbalance, offering financial respite to a significant portion of the population. Furthermore, providing such a tax exemption encourages more savings and investment. When people aren't burdened by high tax rates, they are more likely to invest that money into the economy, whether through bank savings, stock markets, or direct investments in business ventures. This type of investment plays a crucial role in economic development, spurring growth in several sectors such as manufacturing, infrastructure, and technology. However, there are some who question the long-term impact of this move. Critics argue that by cutting tax revenues significantly, the government may face fiscal deficits. With revenue cuts, the government might struggle to fund essential services or infrastructure development programs. How will the government compensate for this revenue loss? And if deficits continue to widen, could India see an inflationary spiral, or worse, a downgrade in its credit rating? There are also concerns regarding the equity aspect of this decision. While it provides relief to many middle-class taxpayers, what about the most vulnerable sections of society? Lower income groups, who don't fall within the tax brackets anyway, may not see much benefit from this move. Moreover, while the exemption helps those at the top end of the middle-class spectrum, it may not make a significant difference for those struggling with day-to-day survival. While the decision seems promising on the surface, it brings with it a set of consequences that will unfold over time. One of the primary consequences is the impact on government revenue. This tax exemption will certainly lead to a reduction in the direct tax collection, which could hinder the government's ability to fund large-scale infrastructure projects, healthcare systems, or other social welfare schemes. As the government loses revenue, it will need to find alternative sources to finance its expenditure, potentially leading to borrowing or increasing indirect taxes such as GST. Both of these could have their own implications, such as a higher fiscal deficit or increased prices of goods and services. Another consideration is the inflationary impact that may arise from increased demand. With more disposable income in the hands of consumers, demand for goods and services could rise, which may lead to inflation if supply doesn't keep pace with demand. In the long run, if inflation becomes too high, it could erode the purchasing power of consumers, especially the lower income groups who will not benefit from the tax exemption. On the other hand, consumer confidence will likely improve, leading to higher consumption levels. For a country like India, which has a large young population, this could mean increased spending on everything from mobile phones, automobiles, and housing to entertainment. As the Indian economy becomes more consumer-driven, businesses may see higher profits, and the overall economic outlook could improve. In the Union Budget for the fiscal year 2025 to 2026, the Indian government has allocated substantial funds across various sectors to stimulate economic growth, enhance infrastructure, and improve social welfare. Here's an overview of the key allocations. 1. Subsidies and social welfare. The government has earmarked 4.57 trillion rupees, approximately $52.81 billion, for subsidies on food, fertilizers, and rural employment. This allocation remains consistent with the previous year's budget, reflecting the government's commitment to supporting vulnerable populations. Specifically, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, continues to receive 860 billion rupees, ensuring the provision of minimum wage jobs for rural households. The fertilizer subsidy has been slightly reduced to 1.67 trillion rupees from 1.71 trillion rupees, while the food subsidy has been marginally increased to 2.03 trillion rupees from 1.97 trillion rupees. Second, tax reforms. A significant reform in the budget is the increase in the income tax exemption threshold to 1.2 million rupees annually. This change aims to boost the spending power of the middle class, thereby stimulating consumer demand and fostering inclusive growth. Additionally, the maximum tax rate of 30% applies to incomes exceeding 2.4 million rupees under the new tax regime. Infrastructure development. The budget allocates substantial funds to infrastructure development, including the construction and maintenance of roads, railways, and urban infrastructure. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has been allocated 2.87 trillion rupees and the Ministry of Railways 2.55 trillion rupees, underscoring the government's focus on enhancing connectivity and transportation networks. Fourth, defense. National security remains a priority, with the Ministry of Defense receiving 6.81 trillion rupees. This allocation is intended to modernize the armed forces, procure advanced equipment, and ensure the safety and security of the nation. 5. Education and research. The budget emphasizes the importance of education and innovation by allocating 1.28 trillion rupees to the Ministry of Education. Additionally, 20,000 crore rupees has been set aside to support private sector-driven research, development and innovation initiatives, aiming to foster technological advancements and economic growth. 6. Health and Family Welfare. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has been allocated 99,858 crore rupees to enhance healthcare infrastructure, improve access to medical services, and address public health challenges. 7. Agriculture. To boost agricultural productivity, the budget includes specific missions for pulses and cotton, along with initiatives to enhance subsidized credit for farmers. These measures aim to support the agricultural sector and ensure food security. 8. Urban development. The Urban Challenge Fund has been introduced to finance up to 25% of the cost of bankable projects, with at least 50% of the cost funded by other sources. This initiative is designed to promote sustainable urban development and improve the quality of life in cities. 9. Science and Technology. The budget allocates 38,61,300 crore rupees to the Ministry of Science and Technology, reflecting the government's commitment to fostering innovation and technological advancements. 10. Environment and Climate Change. Allocations have been made to address environmental concerns and promote sustainable development, though specific figures are not detailed in the available sources. These allocations reflect the government's strategic priorities for the fiscal year 2025 to 2026, aiming to balance economic growth with social welfare and infrastructure development. In India, the income tax system comprises two primary regimes, the old tax regime and the new tax regime. Each regime has its own set of income tax slabs and rates designed to cater to different taxpayer preferences. Old tax regime. Under the old tax regime, taxpayers can avail themselves of various exemptions and deductions, such as those under sections 80C, 80D, and 24B. The income tax slabs for individuals below 60 years of age are as follows: up to 2,50,000 rupees. No tax, 2,50,000, 1 rupee to 5 lakh rupees. 5%, 5 lakh 1 to 10 lakh. 20% above 10 lakh. 30%. Additionally, a cess of 4% on the total tax payable is applicable. For senior citizens, aged 60 years and above but below 80 years, the basic exemption limit is 3 lakh rupees, and for super senior citizens, aged 80 years and above, it is 5 lakh rupees. New tax regime. Introduced in 2020, the new tax regime offers reduced tax rates but eliminates most exemptions and deductions. The income tax slabs for individuals below 60 years of age are: a cess of 4% on the total tax payable is also applicable. This regime aims to simplify tax compliance by reducing the number of tax slabs and rates. It's important to note that taxpayers have the option to choose between the old and new tax regimes each financial year, based on which regime offers the most tax benefit. The choice depends on individual financial situations, including income levels and eligibility for various exemptions and deductions. In the Union Budget for the fiscal year 2025 to 26, the Indian government introduced significant reforms to the new tax regime, aiming to provide substantial relief to the middle class and stimulate economic growth. The revised tax slabs are as follows. This restructuring effectively raises the income tax exemption threshold to 12 lakh rupees annually, up from the previous cap of 7 lakh rupees. Consequently, individuals earning up to 12 lakh rupees will not be liable to pay any income tax, thereby increasing disposable income and potentially boosting consumer spending. Additionally, the standard deduction for salaried employees has been increased to 75,000 rupees, further enhancing tax relief. As we conclude, it's clear that India's Union Budget 2025 represents a bold shift in the country's fiscal policy. The government's decision to raise the income tax exemption threshold to 12 lakh rupees is a strategic move designed to stimulate consumption, boost the middle class, and reinvigorate the economy after a period of sluggish growth. However, this move also comes with risks, particularly concerning fiscal deficits and potential inflation. How the government manages these risks will determine whether this budget succeeds in achieving its long-term goals. This budget is an ambitious attempt to balance fiscal responsibility with economic revival, and while it's too early to gauge the full impact, it sets the stage for a dynamic and challenging economic future. The next few years will be critical in determining whether these changes translate into tangible benefits for the common citizen, or whether they simply result in short-term relief with long-term consequences. The Union Budget 2025 is a pivotal moment in India's economic history, one that will likely shape the nation's growth trajectory for years to come. Stay tuned to witness how these decisions unfold and impact the day-to-day lives of every Indian citizen. Thank you for watching. Please leave your comments below. And if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. We'll continue bringing you the latest updates and analysis on key economic events shaping the future of India.